a special thanks is dedicated to Malaysian Cultural Society of Rumi, who has been doing really well, great, by their efforts to spread the knowledge of Rumi, knowledge of love. In the name of the Creator, the most merciful, most beneficent. A year ago to this day, we attested to the death of 51 innocent people. It goes without saying that those 51 angels ascended above the skies that day, and they rose up to the heavens that very Friday. We believe so. It was a massacre of anger, crime of hate. However, in a year, up to this day even, among the ashes of that hate, love and peace has come out by the very elegant responses and reactions of the victims, and by the grace of Allah, of course, and also by the very efforts of the frank people from different organizations, such as Malaysian Cultural Society of Rumi. We are aware that this kind of crime was not the first and will not be the last, and may find any of us in anywhere in the world, anytime. We as Muslims and as people condemn the attack with our highest level of consciousness and with our very deepest feelings. We also acknowledge that we should never forget it. Every loss of human life, no matter where or when, is unanticipated. However, this crime is of utmost importance for Turkey, the Republic of Turkey also. Why? Let me briefly try to summarize the relation of this massacre with the Republic of Turkey. We had no citizens that was killed under that massacre. However, the Australian terrorist that day enunciates his views, his motives, his aspirations, his political stance and ideology in his manifesto, blatantly defining himself as a white supremacist, a racist, an ethno-nationalist, an eco-fascist, and a partisan. However, on top of all these, there is a strong indication that the assailant is both an anti-Islamist and anti-Turk. What does this mean? Turkey was, for some reasons, at the very center of this terrorist anger. Thus, as the Republic of Turkey, we brand the attacks not only an extension of rising Islamophobia, racism, but also an anti-Turkism associated with Islam. We are, of course, not surprised in this kind of stances. However, we also know that we also can understand the reason behind. So the hatred towards Turkey was rooted among his sayings that Turks had a strong presence in the historical scene and were perceived as the other, as the enemy, and the threat for hundreds of years. So that's why the manifesto was filled with reference to Turkey. Before this gathering, we had the opportunity to have some time with dear Professor Mr. Yusuf. So we were discussing why, as governments of Islam, let me say, nations embracing of Islam, why we need these efforts to build mosques all over the world. For instance, we were mentioning about the mosque in Germany that Turkish Republic has established. These kind of efforts all relate to fight against Islamophobia, actually, to tell, having the opportunity to tell people more about Islam. So the New Zealand Terrorist Manifesto was filled with these kind of references. And in a way, our country, we as Turkish citizens, is somehow synonymous with Islam in the eyes of Western ultra-nationalists. Maybe you know, it has been years we are trying to enter into UN. So this is a controversial issue, and we always discuss whether to enter it or not. And we always know that, I'm sorry, United, not UN, EU. So we also know that it's a kind of Christian organization, and we will not be allowed to enter. We are very aware of that. However, the way, the diplomatic way to handle these kind of things needs to have different approaches. So Tarrant, the terrorist guy, mentions, for instance, threatenings about Turkey in his manifesto, saying that we are coming for Constantinople. So Constantinople is actually the city, we name it Istanbul now. And until the Hagia Sophia, the mosque, a very famous mosque in Turkey, he mentions, until it is free of the minarets, the men of Europe are men in name only. So in the terrorist sayings manifesto, we can trace this anger for why Ottoman Sultanate has conquered Istanbul, and in a way why we still keep the legacy of Ottoman with its Islamic traces. Also, there was a reference to our president, Mr. Erdogan, in that manifesto. And he is considered now as one of the leaders, alhamdulillah, who dares to raise his voice, like Malaysia, like Pakistan, all over the world, about Islam. And that's why we can understand why the terrorists made some comments related to Turkey and some Islamic values. So we are all we are considered as a target by these kind of attacks. That's why strongly every year, maybe every 15th March of the year at least, we need to remember that day. We need to shake, in a way, get shaken and try to understand how we need to move and what we need to do. So we condemn this attack, which has been pointed to Islam and values of Islam, and also which attack to every nation embracing values of Islam. As the Muslims, we know that we need to stand straight with a full awareness. And last but not least, today, with the great efforts of Association of Arumi, Malaysian Cultural Association of Arumi, We commemorate lives of our Christchurch martyrs as beacons of divine love, all-encompassing, all-embracing eternal love. We are honored and graceful that we are blessed with teachings of Islam and with teachings of Islamic scholars such as Rumi, which lead us to the light of that very love and peace. Those Islamic scholars are soulful, like the martyrs died that day. They were kind, they were in love, so we strive to follow their paths. We bear witness to their admissions of truly my prayer and my service of sacrifice, my life and my death are all for Allah, the cherisher of the worlds. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for inviting us to this great day, to this great gathering. We are very pleased and honored to be here. Thank you very much.